Let's make smoked barbecue meatloaf. All right, the first thing we want to do to get started on our smoked meatloaf, I've got 1.5 pounds of ground chuck here, and I've got 1 pound of ground pork. Now you can substitute this for breakfast sausage if you want, in spicy or mild with sage, whatever you like. I can tell you sausage is a good substitute instead of ground pork, but I'm using my traditional recipe today, so that's why I'm just going with straight ground pork. Now, I'm going in with 2/3 cup of diced onions. That's gonna be a heaping cup. I've got 8 Ritz crackers crushed up. I like Ritz for that little bit of buttery flavor myself. I've got a heaping 1/2 cup of diced bell pepper. I've got a tablespoon of minced garlic. Let's crack some eggs. Now let's come back with a little bit of that beef rub. And I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my competition rub on the inside of the meatloaf. Now let's go with some of our good friends W sauce, which is a really good fine Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna do about a heaping tablespoon or 2 of that. Now, I'm gonna take a little bit of our sweet barbecue sauce and I'm gonna use about 1/4 cup on the inside of this meatloaf to kind of help with the moisture and flavor. And then the rest of it, about 1/2 cup, we're gonna baste on the outside of this when it almost is done to set a good glaze on it. Now that we've got all of our ingredients in our bowl, let's get our hands messy and mix it all up. Now, once you get it all kind of mixed up, I'm gonna kind of take this and get it out of here. And I'm gonna go right over here. Let's get anything left in the bowl. Anything I got on my cutting board. And I'm gonna form this into a loaf. Now, if you wanna use a loaf pan, you're more than welcome. All right, I'm gonna call it a day on that, and I'm getting a mess everywhere. Let me clean this up, and we're gonna season our meatloaf. All right, I'm gonna come back with a little more of that beef rub for a little bit of that salt, pepper pop. Now that we've got a little bit of heat on there, I'm gonna come back with this competition rub. It's got a lot of savory flavors in it, a little bit of sweetness. Kind of tilting the pan, getting on the edges. Now you can put this on an aluminum rack to bake. I'm gonna leave it on this sheet pan right here. And that's about all I'm gonna do is just leave it like that, let it sweat in. I've got our Weber pellet grill fired up, our Searwood to 325 degrees with roll oak charcoal pellets mixed with hickory. Let's get it out here on our grill and let it cook. I'm gonna let it go about 1.5 hours before I even check it, and then glaze it up. Or actually, I'm gonna set a timer for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, then check it and see if it needs to start glazed, and we go from there. We're looking for an internal temp of around 165 degrees. Let's get rolling. All right, our Weber is setting on 325. Let's get our pan on. I'm gonna let it go right here. And like I said, I'm gonna set a timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes. I know it's gonna take a little longer than that to cook, but I kinda wanna see where I'm at that time and gauge when I need to start glazing my meatloaf. We'll be back in about 1 hour and 15 minutes. All right, our meatloaf's been on almost 1.5 hours on our Weber, and look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. Now let's go in here. I'm hitting about 140 in the center here, 150 on the end there. It's time to get some of that sweet sauce on this meatloaf. All right, let's get the grill lid shut, give it about 15 or 20 minutes, set that glaze, and let it finish off. All right, it's been about another 20 minutes. Let's get in here and check our meatloaf and kind of see where it's at. Oh, look at that. We're hitting right where we need to be. All right. I think our meatloaf is done. I'm gonna go ahead and cut our cooker off. I'm gonna grab some hot hands to get our meatloaf off the grill and let it cool, and we're gonna be able to try it. All right, our smoked meatloaf is out of the grill. So just to recap, we had a total cook time of a little over 1.5 hours. Our meatloaf jumped in temp really good between 1 hour and about 20 more minutes, the 1 hour and 20 minute mark. And it was hitting 150 degrees in the middle, and the ends was getting close to being done then. So we went ahead and sauced it up with our sweet sauce. But just to recap, we took 1.5 pounds of ground chuck. We took 1 pound of ground pork. We used onions, bell pepper, garlic. We used 2 eggs. We used a little bit of our beef rub, some of our competition rub, Worcestershire sauce. All the good things that make a beautiful meatloaf. We come back and glaze it up with more of our sweet sauce on the outside, and we've got a fantastic meatloaf right now. All right, there's only one thing left to do, and that's get in here and slice this meatloaf. I'm gonna go about right here and go in. This meatloaf is gonna be moist, it's gonna be juicy, and I know it's gonna be flavorful. Let's cut us a wedge off here. That looks like about the perfect meatloaf sandwich, don't it? Now, I don't know about y'all, but I like cooling my meatloaf down and then searing it off on a flat top. Oh, I just love that. On some fresh bread, maybe a little bit of cheese, I can make a good meatloaf sandwich. Let's get in here and try this meatloaf. Sorry, I'm going back for another bite. There is nothing simpler than smoked meatloaf, and when it's done right, it is so hard to beat. That meatloaf has tons of flavor, and for a meal that only takes a little over an hour and a half to cook, this is guaranteed to please your family and friends. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and of course YouTube. I'll see you next week with another smoking recipe.